Oh. Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. Earlier this week, I shared a powerful quote through social media. You must welcome change as the rule, but not as your ruler. You must welcome change as the rule, but not as your ruler. By Dennis Waitley. To appreciate this quote, you've all seen arm wrestling before. Two people have their hands together, they're going back and forth. Visualize that you're doing this with time or with change. Those are synonymous. Typically, time and change is controlling us. Through Meaningful Mornings, what we're aspiring to do is to direct time and change so that we're winning this wrestling. As we're leading ourselves to the completion of chapter 3, there are 4 sections of chapter 3. The first, dedication. Dedication zoomed in on is leading oneself. Zoomed out on is leading others. And now the final section we're in, earlier I called this an FAQ. Better is a warning. A warning. You don't live by dedication if you don't lead yourself, if you don't lead others. Sri Krishna has already shared this warning in the beginning part of the chapter, where he describes those who don't dedicate themselves as mityachara, they're hypocrites, stena, they're thieves, mogha, they're vain. That's what happens when one is not dedicated. Now, the warning we're presently in is, why does this happen? Prince Arjuna is asking, why am I unable to dedicate myself? Shri Krishna responds, the lighter reason is likes and dislikes. That's the lighter reason. The heavier reason is desire and anger. What does anger express as? Dislikes. What does desire express as? Likes. Now that's not enough for us. We are going to be more authentic and deep in these teachings. What is the source of desire? In Sanskrit, it is known as avidya. Avidya means forgetfulness. It is forgetting how to be happy. It is forgetting that our nature is happiness. Those who succumb to such ignorance, they feel that time, change, the relative is real, and divinity is an illusion. Shri Krishna talked about those with faith and those without faith. Now, if there's avidya, what naturally is there going to be? If I forget that I am happiness, then there's going to be vikshepa or projection. I'm going to project that there's happiness outside of me because I'm not happy. So happiness must be outside of me. In the last verse, Shri Krishna shared, if this projection is light, that I lightly project joy outside of me, this desire will naturally be transcended. More practically, those with sattvic desires are those who are engaged in selflessness. They should evolve their desire to the self. Just like the gopis in Bhagavatam, what was their desire for Shri Krishna? What is Shri Krishna? Their self. And that's why the gopis became desireless. Those who project in a more medium way, it's not light anymore, but in a more medium way, then that desire will be transcended not naturally, but it requires effort. The Rajasic desires are selfish. So what is the effort I have to put in? To evolve my desires to selflessness. Understood? Rajasic to sattvic, sattvic to beyond. Checking in, you can hear me and see me? Those who project joy in a heavy way, those desires will not be transcended naturally, not even by effort, but time is required, is demanded. Those are the seekers who have tamasic desires. Their desires are self-destructive. How do they change that? By having selfish desires. Everyone's clear. The chapter in a macro sense, the chapter in a micro sense. In summary, instead of being controlled by desire, you direct your desire. By directing our desire, we start to deal with desire, anger, likes, dislikes. That is being dedicated. This point that Sri Krishna is making is most important, which is why he keeps sharing the same sentiment in many verses now. We're in verse 39. Avritam jnanametena jnanino nitya vairina kamarupena kaunteya dushpurena nalena cha. First quarter, avritam, which means to cover, jnanam. What one knows, etena, by dislikes, likes, anger, specifically desire. This is the translation. Explaining this more. The word avarana is a powerful word. Varana means to describe. Avarana means unable to describe. Avarana indicates a lack of clarity. See, here in Niagara, it's quite foggy. I can't see far away. I'm unable to describe what's far away. Avarana. And jnana, if you're counting. Shri Krishna's teachings have been 100 verses now. From 211 to 338 is 100 verses. So Prince Arjuna has been taught, but he's not clear about this because of desire. I have a sensitivity to this teaching, which is why, if one analyzes our experience together, Meaningful Mornings is one verse at a time, not 4, not 5, not 10, not a summary, for clarity. We're not exploring Bhagavatam only, we're exploring the Vedanta in Bhagavata. How does that relate to me? The Upanishad course is supposed to be 1 year. How many years are we taking? 2 years. 100 steps to infinity. We're going back to defining the words. Without clarity, we can keep on going from 100 verses to 500 verses to 1,000 verses, but our enemies will still defeat us. Jnani no nitya vairina. This enemy, desire. What comes with it? Anger, likes, dislikes. Is the enemy of even one who is it? Jnani. Now this jnani is not a Sri Krishna jnani. Our habit is to have knowledge. Our habit is not to be knowledge. That's the jnani that's being described here. One who has, but not one who is. You see the difference? Having knowledge, I've objectified it. Being knowledge, I've subjectified it. I don't know if that's a real word, but you understand what I'm sharing. So someone who has this knowledge still desires an enemy because they're not being that knowledge. Kama rupena kaunteya. Arjuna, this enemy that is stopping you from following comes in the form of kama. Kama rupena. Anytime, every time we try to plan, we project joy that is not you, as in that is not your nature, you will fail. One cannot be joyous outside of themselves. So what to do? In chapter 13, Shri Krishna shares with Prince Arjuna a virtue that is required to be this knowledge. Here's what it is technically. Janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi, dukkha, dosha, anudarshana. Okay, that's your reference. Those who heard me, I mentioned chapter 13. What this means, you share with me in the chat quickly. What does janma mean? Be in the chat. Birth. Then mrityu, death. Good. Jara, your posture. When you begin meaningful mornings, when you end meaningful mornings. Getting old. Vyadhi, that is decay. Dukkha. All of this is an experience of sorrow. Dosha. Dosha means that's the fault, the defect that comes with this body. Anudarshana, know this, see this, feel this. If you internalize this, will you depend on the body for joy? You won't. Everything that is not you, dukkha, dosha, anudarshana. See the full picture, that this cannot be the source of joy, and by doing so, we won't desire. Commonly, this is known as pratipaksha bhavana, which means see the full picture. Are buffets good or bad? Good in the beginning, bad in the ending, correct? But if you don't see the full picture, you only see the goodness of a buffet. Dushpurena, analena, cha, which means This fire, desire is compared to a fire, which I've shared already, is dushpurena, insatiable, cannot be defeated. But cannot be defeated if one lives foolishly. Because think of a fire. If you keep putting wood into a fire, what will happen to the fire? It will grow. If you put water into a fire, what will happen to that fire? It will end. It is what we're desiring that makes a fire insatiable or satiated. From inspiration to application, your recent application was to come up with your own example instead of the smoke fire, the dust mirror, the fetus womb. Can you all share in the chat what example or comparison you came up with? I'll share mine. I came up with dishes. It shows what I'm attached to. Mine is more of a forced into. If you're pouring water into a pot, you take a cup and you fill it up with water and you put it into that pot, but you don't have to wash it, correct? You just rinse it again. But if the dish is lightly dirty, you hand wash it. If the dish is intensely dirty, you need to machine wash it, as in a dishwasher. Works? See the hypnosis. Now every time you wash your dishes, where will your mind go? Verse 38, chapter 3, Bhagavad Gita. Here is your application for this morning. I've shared with all of you a way to direct you. Sleep early, body. Wake early, intellect. Study early, mind. Walk early, breath. Forgive early or sink early, ego. I want you to come up with a 5-point plan on how to direct your senses. I've described how to direct one's equipment just for the 5 senses. You come up with a 5-point plan on how to direct the senses. Please share this on our website so I can see this. I am appreciative of all of you who have been sensitive to my asking of support for Elevate Her Story. In our Upanishad class, I talked about teaching with tech. I'm going to read to you another reflection from Deepa from Cleveland. This is so lovely. Like the water that falls from the sky doesn't stay where it fell, it flows away to a place that needs it more. So is wealth. Just because we work and get paid doesn't mean it belongs to us. We have to let it go to a place, person that needs it more. What an incredible sharing from a seeker. Shanti, Shanti, Shantihi. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be happiness.